God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to be the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Claire, roll call.
Ms. Zorb,
Here.
Ms. Gaston,
Here.
Miss Alexander,
Here.
Miss Kiritan,
Here.
Miss Clear,
Here.
Mr. Davis, Miss Chichester,
And Ms. Chichester did contact and say that she was going to be late, trending towards probably not being here. So do I hear any motions?
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb?
I will make a motion to excuse Ms. Chichester from tonight's meeting.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I would like to second.
I have a motion from Ms. Zorb and a second from Ms. Gaston to excuse Ms. Chichester from tonight's meeting. Roll call.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Kiritan,
Yes.
Miss Clear.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
All right, everybody should have in front of them the agenda for tonight. Has everybody taken a look, and is there any corrections or additions?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
I'd like to make a small amendment to the agenda.
Okay.
Under executive session, the actual reason for it's on page 2. It says section 121.22G2, which generally is personnel related. I'm sure we'll be more specific when it's time to actually make the motion. But I would like to add, pursuant to section 121.22 G6, to discuss security matter.
Okay.
Madam President,
Ms. Kiritan.
thank you so much. I would also like to make an amendment for our executive session and to add section G1.
Okay, we're going to do these as two separate amendments since they were brought up by two different people. So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Clear to amend the agenda to add section G6. You were G6, correct, Ms. Clear?
Yes.
To add G6 to the executive session for this evening. Do I have a second?
Madam President.
Ms. Alexander?
I second.
I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Clear and a second from Ms. Alexander to amend the agenda to add G6 section to the executive session for tonight. Any discussion?
Madam President. It was me.
Ms.
So I guess I'm curious. I thought we were supposed to have more wording around this, not just the section. I thought, according to the auditor, it should list out the words, not just a section.
Madam President, I was just about to say the same thing that Ms. Orb said, that you need to identify the section. You don't have to read the entire thing, but you do need to paraphrase and provide a little bit more specificity.
Okay.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
is that on the agenda specifically or within the minutes?
It's
or
when
both?
it's when the motion happens to go into executive session.
Okay, so for the sake of the agenda, it can just state the section, and then in the minutes, I have to explicitly list exactly what they say?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Thank
And
you.
then when we
And-
call
and
it to
I
go
believe
into
you said when the
executive
motion-
sessions, we need to list out the verbiage.
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Orb, is that all right? Okay. All right, roll call.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Kiritan,
Yes.
Miss Clear.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
All right, I have another motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan to amend the agenda for tonight to add section G1 to executive session. Do I have a second? Would you restate your motion?
Yes, that's correct. Since we are already going into an executive session, I am asking council to allow us to discuss matters related to section G1.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
I'd second.
Okay. Discussion?
Might I ask specifically what is G1? Or what
G1
what portion of G1 do you want to discuss in executive
Well,
session?
Madam President,
Ms. Curitan?
as Mr. Dieters just shared with us, we will need to include the entire section. Would you like me to read that in its entirety at this point?
Just the section that you want
just
to go
G1.
into for.
To consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Do I hear anything else about the agenda for tonight?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I have a quick question about first reading, Resolution 11, 2026, a resolution expressing council support for a temporary adjustment of Public Works Department. And my question is, I would like to have this removed because per the charter, council does not do anything with the employees.
Madam President,
Well, let me get a second and then we'll have discussion. Do I hear a second?
Madam President, I'll second.
Okay. Discussion?
yes, I had, it's not a directive. There's no wording in there that has anything to do with a directive. It's an expression of support or an opinion, which is absolutely appropriate for a resolution.
Madam President.
And I figured when we got to the first reading, you know, if it needed to go to committee or something else, we've done that before where things go to a first reading and then are assigned to committee, especially if things are time sensitive, so.
Ms. Gaston?
I guess my question is this time sensitive? This shows support for Public Works?
Madam President,
Ms. Claire?
it's hot right now. By the time we go through 3 readings, it'll probably be October. It'll be moot.
Absolutely.
So,
So let me ask a question. Of the,
these type, well, yeah, go
let
ahead.
me ask a question of the administration. Ms. Dukestein? When it comes to scheduling employees for the city, it does not fall under your purview?
Yes.
So nothing that we do on this table as passing any kind of resolution would change how you schedule your employees?
No, but we're not.
No.
I'm sorry?
No. Madam Chair,
Madam,
I would also like to add that this is something that they already do. They already will adjust their schedules according to the heat.
So that's what I need to
They
know.
will come in earlier and leave, because you know that peak is 3 to 4. So they do adjust their schedules. They have done that. and they
Madam
come in
President.
So they're already doing this.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Curitan, you said something first and then
go ahead. I'll yield to Ms. Gaston.
Oh, I just wanted to say, I just didn't know that we needed a resolution for showing support. We do support that,
But we can always vote it down.
well, I wouldn't vote it down. But I just wanted to know because it didn't go through committee. But if council wants to keep it on, then okay. I just was a little confused by it.
Ms. Curitan, did you want to?
No, I'll pass. Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
so if they're already doing it, why are we doing this?
Great
Madam
question.
President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I'm not sure where the legislation comes from, but I can assure you that they have winter hours, they have summer hours, and they adjust as the heat or winter. They have little say-so when it snows, though.
So, yeah, so what brought this on if this is something that's already being done? Is my
Madam
question.
President,
Ms. Clear? Go ahead.
I'm going to give a final 2-minute sum up as per our council rules. And I'm going to advocate because it's an expression of an opinion. It is not a directive. It has nothing to do with how administration does what administration needs to do. And you can do that with a resolution.
Thank
Madam
you for
President.
that
So-
clarification. I'm going to say, we have a motion on the floor. Let's have council decide. We have a motion that's from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Zorb. let's run this through roll call and get a up or down.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
No.
Miss Clear.
No.
Motion fail 3-2.
All right. Anything else about the agenda? Okay, so we have, we need to pass the agenda as amended, so do I hear any motions?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston,
I would like to accept the agenda as amended.
do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
I'll second.
I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Alexander to accept the agenda as amended. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay. Everybody should have the minutes in front of them from last meeting. If everybody's had time to review, is there any corrections, or can we send this through?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I would like to make a motion that we accept our meeting minutes from Monday, June 1st, as presented.
Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Sorb?
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston with a second from Ms. Sorb to accept the minutes from last meeting, I think it was 6/1/2026.
Yes.
Any discussion?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I don't believe we have enough members here who were present at that meeting to accept the minutes. Because I'm going to abstain because I was not there.
Okay, so it is my understanding, and Mr. Dieters, you can feel free to weigh in. This is a motion to accept the minutes, and the way I understand it, it takes 4 to pass a motion. Mr. Dieters, you want to weigh in on that?
Yes, but you shouldn't vote on it if you weren't there.
Right.
because- So then you may not have enough people, then if that's the case, you would just table it to the next meeting.
Okay, so Ms. Sorb, Ms. Gaston, Ms. Alexander, you were all 3 here at the last meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Curitan, were you?
Madam President, I would also abstain as I was absent.
Okay, so we are going to have to table this. So we will need a vote for that, correct, Mr. Dieters?
No,
Table?
just the motion just didn't proceed, so you would just have it, ask the clerk to put on the agenda next time.
Okay.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I would like to withdraw my motion.
Okay. I will mark. Ms. Clear, if you wouldn't mind putting that on the next meeting?
Madam President,
Yes, Ms.
I
Alexander.
just have a question for clarity. Say that I'm not here for a meeting, but I watch the meeting later on.
That's a very good point,
Would
Mr.
that
Dieters.
count?
You should be present for the meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay. Thank you for that question. That was,
Mhm.
okay. So minutes, we're past that. Any communication, Ms. Clear?
Yes, I do have a couple points of communication for this evening.
Okay.
I'm working with Ben Torrey to get the records returned from Iron Mountain to here. And I have been just looking at different storage options since that's been brought up quite a few times. I wasn't exactly sure who on council I should communicate with first on that, since it does kind of go into multiple committees, but I can always just send out what I've looked up to whomever. And then on the topic of records, I did go into the 1500 building and retrieve the last bit of council records that were in that building. Records from, I believe, the 60s or 70s are at Iron Mountain. All of the prior records from when the city was, I believe, still a village, like back in the 1920s. Those were in the old building, but they are now locked in the cabinets in the back room. I'm not sure if there's any sort of like preservation type work that council would be interested in doing with that. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Ms. Curitan?
Ms. Clear, I just want to clarify, thank you for your ability to do so and to go into the 1500 building. Can you just advise who that directive came from?
Public records request. So by Ohio law, I needed to go in there and retrieve the documentation because I knew I had it in our possession as a city. And just because it's in a building that we are not supposed to enter, I don't think when it comes to the law, we can just say, oh, I can't do that. But I did have all of the proper PPE on, and I was in there for, I think, a grand total of 15 minutes. And the PPE was at least 30 minutes, so I'm covered with that.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Okay.
doing that. That's
Thank
above
you.
and beyond.
Any other communications?
That is all I have for this evening.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Orr.
so I do have a follow-up question. Ms. Clear, you mentioned something about the records, and you didn't know who to work with on that. Is there money involved?
If we were to do like the fireproof cabinets or binders or like folders and stuff like that, we would need to purchase some of that stuff. So I wasn't sure if I should work with Chair of Budget and Finance and say, hey, here's some of the different options that I've found, or...
Actually, so thank you, because it's kind of where I was leading. So I think I would like to be on that communication, if I can volunteer, Rules and Public Policy Chair. Sorry, volunteering you. I think that would make the most sense.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
I would also think that it would be appropriate to engage our Records Commission, since it's their purview to advise on records storage, disposal, things like that, so that we're not filing things that we don't need to keep.
Yep.
So I think that engaging the Public Records Commission is probably a better avenue than engaging me, personally.
Ms.
Is
Clear,
that-
I presume you would just need to go, like, starting with the Records Commission and then go from there.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, up until it's assigned to, say, a committee, can you just keep me in the know of where we are with that? And then we'll kind of follow the bouncing ball from there.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because having the Records Commission, probably take a look at that. I mean, if we have records going back to the 1920s, I mean, that's over 100 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some sort of,
Retention.
yeah. So, what was the year that you were requested to pull?
1947, I believe.
Okay.
Madam President, we're also in the
16.
process of applying to shrink that time based on the records being in the building in a blighted state. So we have to apply for that, though.
Okay.
Madam President,
Ms. Cureton.
I would like to ask Ms. Dixteen, did we apply or before Ms. Clear was subject to that environment of 1,500?
Yes.
Thank you.
So in future, if we get another request that's, well, they've all been moved here now, correct?
Yeah, I
There's
just,
nothing left there?
yeah. From
Never
from
mind.
what I know, I have everything.
Okay. All right. We're gonna say that's the end of communication. Who, can we look at who is signed in for this evening to talk with us?
First up, we have Chris Green.
Sir, if you don't mind stating your name and your address.
My name's Chris Green. I live at 2769 Leota Lane. Brief history. My background is I had 16 years construction experience. I had my own general contracting company. And for 21 years, I was a certified home inspector on a legislative committee in Ohio for 9 years to get licensing. And I was a mold tester and asbestos and mold. I'm also the new commander of the DAV Chapter 115. The East Wing, I can only speak of because that's the wing that we were in. The East Wing is structurally sound and has some mold and asbestos in it. We've been in there. First time we went in to basically arrange and clean up and get rid of some of the mold. Realized how much mold was in there. Then every other time we went in, we was in the proper PPE gear. I'm up here just to ask that you guys reconsider your vote to tear it down because it is structurally sound. We can do our back area at our expense. I've offered to do a mold test at our expense. I have all the equipment and I can do that, and I've offered to do that. So we're just asking for a chance to get in there and do the mold test. We've replaced the windows, so we could do a mold test instead of sucking air from the outside in. So the windows was replaced that were broken out when somebody broke into our unit. So I'm just asking that, you guys give us a chance to prove that the back end the rear of the east wing is good, sound, and solid, and we're willing to take care of the back end, our area, the American Legion, the Guitar for Vets, the DAV at our expense. So we're just asking, just to give us a chance to prove. I'll do the mold test at DAV's expense and everything. So we're just asking for a chance to do it. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Cureton.
I want to acknowledge Mr. Green. I want to make sure that your presence matters tonight. I do want to apologize to you on behalf of the city. Council is responsible for buildings, and council, at the time of your entry, was not aware. So please forgive the city of North College Hill. I'm not sure who, what, when, where, and the whys behind it, but council is responsible for that, and I do apologize that you spent your time and your efforts in doing so. Council now has on our agenda tonight to vote, and we will accordingly, but can't make you any promises either way. But I want you to know I appreciate you coming, and again, we apologize for anything that has gone forward that we were not made aware of.
Who's next to sign in?
Daniel Blaylock.
Good evening, Daniel Blaylock, 400 Cameron Road. I just have a quick question. I know that there's been a lot of back and forth about 1500, and we've discussed it at length among ourselves in the DAV, and speaking generally about the state of North College Hill being a DAV city and the possibility of 1500 being torn down. And if that were to happen, would the council still want to remain a DAV city? And if so, how would that be? How would we do that moving forward? By providing a room somewhere else, possibly?
Madam President,
Ms. Claire.
I also want to acknowledge, thank you for sharing your concerns. I'd had similar concerns. And as council is responsible for facilities, there's multiple organizations potentially impacted. So any decision that we make regarding that building is not taken lightly. It is absolutely not. And we are aware of the impact potentially either way, because if the building stays and we remediate it, we're talking about a long time to make it very clean. If we tear it down, it's a long time. If we decide on another facility potentially that's right-sized and designed, to be a community building and not an elementary school for 9-year-olds. So these are decisions we're not taking lightly. And I just wanted you to be aware that I thank you for your concern. I had a very similar concern. What happens to the tenants or to the occupants, not really tenants, I don't think there was a lease, but the occupants of the building as we move forward with these decisions. So that is something I'm thinking about.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb.
so, hello, Mr. Blaylock. So I know that the 115 is under new command at this point.
Correct.
So I know when we first closed it down, or excuse me, when the mayor first closed it down, it was mentioned that the police department would provide a room for you guys to meet in if you so desired. So I would imagine that offer is still up. I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but I will tell you that that offer was made at that time.
Very well. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Ms. Clear, is that the extent of who signed in?
We have one more individual, Clarence Easterling.
Good evening, Clarence Easterling, 1619 West Belmar Place. First one, I say congratulations to all the new members. It's been that long since I've been here. I actually just have a few questions. I just need direction on who handles these particular issues. Which committee or department would handle broken down or abandoned vehicles sitting on the street in front of a residence?
Madam
anybody
President,
know?
in the interest of
Claire.
time, could he ask all of his questions and we can address them that way?
Oh, okay.
We can, not that way you don't lose your 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. The second one is who handles businesses in residential areas. I had a particular incident where an individual, a male individual, exposed himself to a female mail carrier on Meese. And that's a problem because it appears that that was a unregistered group home in a residential area for mentally disabled people. I'll need to speak with Mrs. Dukestein about something else across the street. And also, who handles ill-maintained properties where bushes, et cetera, block public access to the sidewalk? That's all my questions.
So offhand, it sounds like the first thing you mentioned and the last thing you mentioned would be code enforcement.
Code enforcement.
They would handle the overgrown bushes, overgrown not maintenance of yards, and then I forgot what you had mentioned.
The broken down vehicles or abandoned vehicle?
Yes. And then the second thing you mentioned sounds more like a police matter.
Or zoning.
Well, she said she did call the police for I guess the exposure. But I was wondering how did that business get established in a residential area? Because that is a business, even if it is a group home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ms. Orb,
Madam-
you had a,
Yes, Madam President. So I would agree. So for the initial response, that's absolutely a police matter to deal with it initially. As far as the business in a residential area, that would be part of our zoning.
Zoning.
So that would be addressed by the zoning board.
Okay, well, that's it for me.
And I'm not trying to pass the buck, but that's none of us up here.
Okay.
You could probably get to them through Ms. Dukestein.
Yeah, I've got the website, so I try to look up the
Perfect.
numbers there.
Perfect.
All right, thanks.
One more, Madam President, Mr. Easterling, we've given you instructions on who it belongs to, but I don't know if you know how to reach them. So on the city's website, there is a link for you to submit a request. And if you put in the correct filters, that request should go to the correct department. So if there are issues with code enforcement, or I'm not sure of everything on there, but yeah. And that way you'll get an email confirmation, and then potentially you'll be able to track the status of your request. So it is on our city's website.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks.
It's called report a concern.
Ms. Clear, is there anyone else?
That is everybody who has signed in for this section of public comment.
Excellent. Okay. There was no guest speakers for tonight, so we're going to move on to council committees. Rules and Public Policy. Ms. Clear?
Thank you, Madam President. Let me get my novel here organized. Sorry. All right. Rules and Public Policy last met on June 8th. Among the topics that we discussed were the junk motor vehicles ordinances. That is something that we are looking at from a legislative perspective. In terms of the code as is, they're correct. It would be the enforceable code is what's as is right now. So that is on our plate to be looking at. The next topic that we discussed, oh my goodness. Oh, municipal tax obligations of candidates and elected officials. This is concerning whether it's potentially an ethics violation or a conflict of interest for someone to owe money to the city and be in a decision-making position regarding that money. So that's the area we're going, the path we're going down with that. It's a pretty, the more I peel back the onion, the more there is. So that's definitely something we need to dig into a little further. The next item was public information officer was deferred. Agenda item, acceptable use of artificial intelligence. We briefly touched on this and briefly touched on that the city's cybersecurity policy needed to be implemented by July 1st. And let's see here. And then Mayor Nichols provided an update on the Public Records Commission, the status of their work. Confirm the membership of the commission, which aligns with what's currently on the website, and their tasks and where they are in the process of our records retention guidance and policies. That is in progress. Last thing I think we talked about was business registration ordinance, and that is a work in progress. It's not been submitted to council officially yet, I don't believe. It might have been before my time, but it's still on our plate, so I imagine not. So, but that we were almost out of time, so we put that in the parking lot for the next meeting. And our next meeting is July 13th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Claire. Public Safety, Ms. Curitan.
Thank you so much, Madam President. We had a packed agenda at our June 8th meeting. We covered a lot of topics. Of course, we know there's been a lot that's been going on in the city of North College Hill regarding the safety of our public. I was glad to have our interim police chief, Craig Cheney, present. He shared an overview of some of the safety conditions and the crime trends. He also talked about strategies on reducing the property and violent crime in the city. We talked about outlining the community engagement and the relationship building efforts. We also discussed efforts to enhance the transparency and public communication when things occur in the city. There was also a moment in which April of 2026, in which the city launched, I'm not even sure what we want to call it, but a high-speed hotspot, let's go get tickets, what have you, and discuss the trends in that. He talked about some partnerships with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. The city administrator mentioned in our March 9th meeting, where we received an update in June, ways to reintroduce the speed monitors based on past assessments performed in speeding of the city. Like I mentioned, we had a very packed agenda. Portions of our agenda needed to pivot to just make sure that we are not just moving rhythmically, but we are, as a city and as a committee, addressing the things that are occurring. And so our next meeting is on July the 13th. I do invite our audience, I invite our administration, and if there are members of this council who do not sit on this committee, you're also invited in order for us to move this city forward. We have to understand that public safety is built on partnership and accountability, and it's a shared commitment from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Curitan. All right, City Community Development and Recreation, Ms. Gaston.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. We last met on June 22nd at 6:01 p.m. A couple of things that we discussed was our outdoor fitness health project. That was a quick update, confirmation of start date and official location. We do not have the official location yet. Our city administrator says she's waiting on one more thing to just kind of solidify where we are going. We also discussed the funds, how much it's going to cost. We talked about the grant dollars that we received and that there was a deadline of June 29th. So I'm sure we'll get an update on how that all went from our city administrator. She talked about the milestones for adopting and putting in this outdoor fitness health project. We moved along to the little free pantry boxes. Ms. Chichester gave an update. We Thrive met and located different spots where we could put the little free pantry lot boxes. Ms. Clear said that other communities advised that it is self-sustaining and that we can reach out to them just to get more information. But this is a great project that we are working on and moving forward. We also talked about in old business, the signs, some of our wooden signs that are faded and older, if we can repaint them, just so that everything looks pretty and beautified. We talked about Pies Park, feedback on the Citizens Lock. We are still unsure who that is. And the park was not rented on Juneteenth, but there was a party that was there, and someone sold tickets and profited. So coming up with something to stop that from happening. There was a question about who is on the Recreation Commission, and Mayor Nichols will get back with us on that because there was one vacant spot. In new business, there was an announcement that I made about the Peace Walk. Pastor Hudson and the community and Pastor Barnes put together to bring the community together. Lastly, we talked about welcome baskets. And for those of you who are in the audience, the welcome baskets are given to new homeowners who move to the city. There will be important information in there like how to file your RETA taxes, who to call when there's an emergency, and just a warm welcome to our new city, or to our city, because they are new. And that is all. We adjourned at 6:57. Our next meeting is July 20th at 6 p.m. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Ms. Gaston. Budget and Finance, Ms. Zorb.
Thank you, Madam President. Budget and Finance met on Monday, June 22nd at 7 p.m. The topics that we discussed were the monthly finance reports, and that presentation was given by Ms. Stevens-Knott. We also briefly touched on the Cincinnati Waterworks billing agreement and with the Rumpke collection, and it was confirmed by the city administrator that all of the adjustments in the bills is balanced out. So those bills should be pretty stable at this point. We talked about the anticipation of the 2027 budget and what the 2026 end of the year balance will be. And we'll start digging into that further and deeper at the next meeting. We talked about the electrical box repairs that are on, there were some on Galbraith and some on Hamilton that were repaired. And that's the highlights. So our next meeting will be on July 27th at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Zorb.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody who, for the ad hoc committees?
Madam President.
Ms. Gaston.
I just wanted to share that I went to the school board meeting this month, and there were a couple updates, but some cool things that I want to share with the city are some important dates, like July 13th is their next board meeting. Any parents or anybody who is interested in the education of our youth, please go and participate and hear what's going on. There's some really good information that is being shared with school board. We also have August 6th from 4:30 to 6:30, the Back to School Bash, and it's always really good every single year. So mark that down on your calendar. And for all of those who are so excited like me, August 11th is the first day of school. So there is a list of school supplies on Facebook. It's been shared through many, many channels. But that is all that I have for school board.
Thank you, Ms. Gaston.
Madam
Anyone else?
President.
Ms. Curitan.
Ms. Gaston, do we have a location for the Back to School Bash?
I will get that information to you by the end of this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Dukestein.
I just wanted to add that OKI is on a summer break.
Okay.
I attended the June meeting, and they're on a break for July, and they will resume in August.
Madam President,
Ms. Claire.
I just wanted to clarify. Did you go to the executive committee or to the board meeting? Because I attended the board meeting, and I have an update for that. So
I went to both.
okay. Yeah, so I was they are on summer break for July, but the update for June, the June board meeting was lengthy. They had a complete finance report. I'm actually astonished at how much they can get accomplished in an hour. It's impressive. Less than an hour. They had the administrative updates from the president, from the chairperson, the CEO, the finance manager. They approved several pieces of legislation or resolutions, their board resolutions. So a resolution adopting the council fiscal year, resolution entering into a contract for HR services, a resolution approving their cybersecurity and ransomware policy, resolution authorizing retaining their managed service provider for IT, resolution authorizing a contract for professional services for their traffic count station maintenance, amendment to their water quality plan, management plan, intermodal, and they also had intermodal coordinating committee report, which is ICC, if anyone's familiar with that acronym, and amendment number 9 to the fiscal year transportation improvement program. And we got through all of that in, I think, about 56 minutes. So, yeah, that's the bar. But but yeah, so it was a detailed meeting, and like she said, they're out for July, and they mentioned an August 19th engagement. I think that's just for OKI members. I don't know if that was open to the public at CVG. I can't remember. I just tried to confirm, but it's August 19th at CVG. So,
Thank you. Any others? I'll mention during this section, it's going to be a bit repetitive because I did mention this at the June meeting, but we did have a committee of the whole meeting. And tonight we will be, during old business, we will be bringing up the things that were talked about during the committee of the whole meeting. There was 3 sections talked about. Those will be up for vote tonight, and also the minutes will need to be approved during old business. So that's it for that. So that closes us out, and we are at admin reports. And I just ask that all, as I always say during this section, is let's keep the questions back and forth to the administration during this section and not during call of members. Madam Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. We have a full house. Welcome, everyone, tonight. First thing, CIC will not have any meetings this month. I believe they're on summer break, so I think they plan to, they plan to resume in August. So for those, I hear that some people did not get their newsletter. If you did not, you can contact Ben Torrey, or you can come up here. There are extra copies here at the Senior Center, so if you need a copy of the newsletter, stop by. I would ask Council, mainly Ms. Gaston, because you always talk about it, the welcome baskets.
Yeah.
I need 3.
I got you.
I have 3 new homeowners on my street, and one of them, we had a conversation about Rita. They were, I guess they got something and they needed to know where to go. So if we can get those baskets for the other 2, who I'm sure have no idea.
Absolutely.
Also, Ms. Gaston, I believe, talked about the back to school bash. I did stop by the Hair Palace, and they plan to do one. I do not have the date, but typically it's like a week or 2, that week before school starts back, and it's really awesome. And so you can bring your kids out. And with that, I do know that the school district, I was over there on Thursday, so July 9th, 16th, 23rd, and I believe the 30th, they do have that book fair. It was really nice. They have some awesome books. So if you have some kids, 11 to 12:30, they get a free book, and they also get a nice lunch. So I know the Salvation Army was there along with another church. Forgive me, I do not recall the name of the church, but I think it's like really good. It's something for the kids to do. So if you're home with your kiddos, bring them any age. They had all varieties of different books. So bring your kids by to get a book and a lunch between 11 to 12:30 every Thursday. I know they will be there again this week, and I believe it's rain or shine. And it was really hot last Thursday, and they were there waiting. I don't know how many students they had, or kids. I'm not gonna call them students, but if you have the opportunity, just pop in. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Cureton?
I have one quick question for you, Mayor Nichols. Good evening. I'm glad you talked about the commissions because I was thinking about if you know of a current process in place for the council to be made aware of what each commission is working on. Is there a central point, where their notes are uploaded, or how we can bridge that gap between the commissions and the council?
Well, I can tell you that Recreation is just getting ready to meet. So, Planning Commission, I know you can get their minutes from Andrea Brooks. You can get the minutes for CIC from Siobhan Hall. Right now, those are the only ones off top where I can tell you you can get that information.
Thank
If
you.
I'm forgetting something, somebody
Is there a fourth
chime
commission?
in at any moment. The minutes, we really not yet don't have the minutes from like the with the Records Commission.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So, thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
just to kind of dovetail onto that, we say piggyback a lot. I want to say dovetail. The description of the duties of each of the boards and commissions is on the website. I believe it's under the government section, but it doesn't that doesn't have anything to do with your question. It's just if anybody was interested in learning more about the boards and commissions and what they do, and if you're interested in volunteering,
Yes.
that is an excellent way as a citizen to be directly involved with helping us and advising in terms of policy. And I also know that they are considered a public body, so if they do have meetings scheduled, I'm not going to speak for the commissions, but I believe that they would be on the website. The meeting dates and times and locations should be on the city
Madam
website
Chair,
as a courtesy. But yeah,
Madam Mayor?
she is correct. The meetings are on the website, so if anyone is interested in volunteering, I would recommend that you come out to any of those meetings. And if you're interested in it, just talk to the chair, talk to myself, and then we can always use extra people, you know. You plant the seeds that you want to see grow. So if you want to get involved, it's a great way to do it.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
Mayor Nichols, you had mentioned that the Recreation Commission is going to meet here soon. I know you just mentioned to everybody on TV land that it's on the calendar, but do you know what that date is off the top of your head?
So I was hoping that they would meet tomorrow,
Okay.
but I have not confirmed with Ms. Olatin if she's able to meet because of their time.
Okay.
So we may have to shift it.
Okay, one more question for Madam Mayor. So the vacancy, has that been filled and by whom?
I believe so. I don't want to tell you the wrong name because when I pronounce it incorrectly,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I've spoken to 2 people, so you have to have a certain number, but you know, as long as I need to check to see if the the charter says shall. If it says shall, one is gonna have to leave, right? So that's why I don't want to say which one. So they'll decide which one won't be on there.
Okay, thank you.
Now to the city administrator, Ms. Dukestein?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Oh,
It
I
wasn't
apologize.
tomorrow, it was Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It was Wednesday.
Alrighty, thank you.
Ms. Dukestein?
I submitted my report. Does anyone have any questions or concerns?
Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
I don't have a question regarding your report per se. I do have a different question. Is it okay if I throw that out there?
Hmm?
So, I had submitted a request for a block party, and I have not heard back yet. So I'm kind of wondering what that process looks like, because I feel like the neighborhood association, this is going to be an ongoing thing. So I submitted it quite a few weeks ago, and I still haven't heard anything, and I thought I would have enough time to do the planning, and now we're kind of in the crunch time. So I'm just trying to look, at this immediate request and then future requests to know how to do it better the next time.
So I think your request is with Bill Knight. I will check with him tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, or President, sorry.
Ms. Claire?
I know that did you use the web form?
I did.
Okay, so this might be something that,
Got it.
oh, I was going to say, just to make sure that it's going to the right, because I had it set up to where it would go to a mail distribution box instead of a person, just for the simple reason that it wouldn't get lost. But if it's a different way now, I just was double checking. So, yeah.
Madam President,
Ms. Curitin?
I'm glad Ms. Sorb asked the question. I just want to make sure that we have an understanding of that process. I understand that Mr. Knight is over zoning. Will all requests from all residents now go to Mr. Knight if they want to have a block party, or like a couple of my neighbors want to look at doing something in the cul-de-sac? Is that everything goes through him? And if so, what is that estimated time frame?
He's usually pretty quick.
Okay.
I think he was on vacation, and he does permits.
Okay. I just have one more clarifying question, if that's
Ms.
okay.
Claire?
This is my last question. So I know he does the permits for them. I'm assuming that he also communicates to police and public works about the barricades and the road closure then?
Between the three of us, Bill Knight, Mr. Wallace, and myself, the reason I know Mary Jo's is because he asked about the fee, and that he has to get permission to waive the fee.
Okay.
I know he already asked, and I already responded, so, and it's waived, but, because you were doing it for Neighborhood Alliance, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So, I just don't know why he hasn't responded to approve it. So, I'll check with him tomorrow.
Thank you.
Just as a reminder, if we can keep with, stating our titles or our last names instead of first names, that'd be great. Any other questions for the city administrator? Mr. Dieters from our law director?
Madam President, I have a little bit to talk about here. I'll try to make it brief. I had some conversations with the interim chief over the last couple weeks about individuals in the city, most notably council people, showing up at crime scenes. And while certainly as members of the public you can do that, I do want to make it very clear that when there's a crime scene, regardless of anybody in this room, whoever is the officer in charge of that crime scene is the one that gives authority or doesn't give authority to enter anywhere into the crime scene. If myself or anybody else would do that, you could theoretically be arrested for obstructing official business. So I want to make that really clear. But more importantly, I don't think anyone would. I would hope nothing like that would happen. But the thing that is that the chief kind of expressed to me, and I think I understand where he was coming from, was that his officers are kind of having a feeling that like someone's looking over their shoulder constantly, like how you might feel like if you're typing and someone's looking over your shoulder and you get nervous and all of a sudden you can't remember where the keyboard is, right? So while I certainly know that given the nature of the kind of things that have happened in the city and happened not just in North College Hill, in our surrounding area this summer, it's really a tragedy that people are interested in wanting to look for answers, and sometimes looking for answers is, hey, let me find out what exactly is going on. I just want you to be cognizant of that the officers who are there, when you're there, you may feel like you're helping, but to them sometimes they're nervous, like, well, why is the law director here watching me do this right now, right? Why is a council person here? Why is the mayor here? So I just hope that just be aware of that even though you might be there to try to be helpful, there is kind of that mindset that the officers have when we show up. Okay. But other than that, I don't have anything else, Madam President. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam
Any questions
President.
for
Thank you. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Security.
I apologize. And so I just want to remind everyone in the room, not only am I a member of this council, I am a neighbor to everyone. And through what's occurred in our city over the last month, and I'll even go back to Kroger, it's given me a chance as a member of this city and ultimately as a servant to get to know our neighbors, to really understand and really, shake hands and get to know where are the gaps in this city. let me say this now. I come from a family of law enforcement, aunties and uncles, my father-in-law, and so I can understand the sentiments. However, we are charged, or I'll say I am charged as a member of this council. I was elected as a member of this council to duly uphold the duties as a representative here and just to really to make sure that if there are loopholes, if there are things as a council legislatively that we need to address, we are charged to do so. Ultimately, I want to make sure that we address what occurred. If I can, Madam President, very, very briefly, I promise to be. There was an email that this council received on Monday, June 22nd at 5:03 p.m. or 5:03 a.m. I just want to skip to a section in this email that I think Mr. Dieters is what you might be referencing. And this email came from our city administrator, Ms. Dukestein, and it says, council members are not to respond or visit the scene. Our city administrator does not have the authority to advise council of what they can and cannot do. And so I want to remind everyone here that I'm trying to say it in the most kindest and way possible, that directive should have never come to council at all. And I hope in the future that type of communication doesn't come to us. Now, I understand it was 5:03 in the morning and things are occurring, but my response was, after reviewing the charter and council rules and confirming with our president of council, I am unable to find any provision that grants the city administrator authority to direct the actions of elected council members. While safety-related recommendations are appreciated during an active incident, directives to council are not supported by the charter, our council rules, and fall outside the authority of the city administrator. So as we talk about requests from council, we would then, or I'm going to say I would then go back and say those type of directives would never come again. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for for our law director? And I was going to say our finance manager, but I do not think that she's, oh, hi, sorry, you're always behind the podium, I apologize, short.
Good evening. Good evening. Hope everyone's having a good night. I come because we had a wonderful meeting at Rita. Rita has one meeting a year where they kind of travel the state. So our meeting was a few weeks ago. Wanted to share the amazing updates of what's going on with Rita, but I wanted to start with making sure that we're all aware that Rita is our compliance officer. Okay, Rita works for the city of North College Hill. They are not a disembodied entity that is inflicting their own ideals on our citizens. They are the officers of our desires as it relates to our laws and our taxes that we have put in place. If Rita was not being contracted to do the work, there would be a person sitting in the position known as a tax administrator. I am a de facto or ex facto tax administrator because we do not have an actual person, and Rita as an organization does our collection for us. So I think it's super important for that as you are engaging with our citizens, and I'm engaging with our citizens because I am a North College Hill resident also, that we do not allow the narrative of Rita's being mean to me and wants to take all my stuff. They are simply doing the job that we as a city have contracted with them to do. To go with that, I would also like to remind us all that there are levels to what we are doing as it relates to tax collection. The first level is, hey, did you know that the city of North College Hill is a taxing entity? What I have learned over the past year is that there are a lot of people that simply do not understand what's going on with their paycheck. They look at their paycheck, they see if they're lucky enough to have an employer that does withhold for the city of North College Hill. The assumption is, well, they took the money out, what are they calling me about? And so I would ask, as you are engaging with our citizens, that we remind them that not only are we a taxing city, but that you must file your taxes at the end of every year. Just like you file your federal taxes and your state taxes, you must file your taxes with RETA for the city of North College Hill. That's the first thing, because what happens is that the dollars that are withheld are simply sitting in a bucket without a name. It's a big old bucket that says North College Hill. And until you file your taxes, RETA does not know that that is our money. And so they cannot release it. That's the first beautiful step. And everyone likes that step. Hey, I paid, I'm fine. The second step is once you file, you'll find out whether or not the right amount was withheld or not, or whether or not you owe. Guess what? You might owe. It's a part of our life. But RETA is super kind. If you are unable to pay at that moment, you have the opportunity to set up a payment plan. One of the new things that RETA has offered for this next iteration of services is that you can do it online. I'm a person, I really don't like to talk to humans a lot, so I love every opportunity to do it myself. You can go to ritaohio.org and set up your own payment plan. Let's talk about the next iteration. The next iteration of services is that the system within the next 6 months, when you put in your information for what you owe currently or what you may owe from prior times, it will go through a process and assess if P&I, i.e. penalties and interest, can be waived. You're only going to get that one time. But the system will automatically check, go through just a set of criteria, say, hey, we're just trying to get you caught up. And no one wants to penalize you if you're willing to do the work. Now, this is all the grace that is there. We've filed, we realize we owe, we've talked, we've got a payment plan going, and you are the part of the constituency that is going to be just fine. The next iteration is the group of citizens or past citizens who ignore all of those steps. Once they ignore all of those steps, it has now reached a legal component where all of the grace that we would want to extend to our constituents is no longer available. They've gotten letters, they've gotten phone calls, they've gotten me standing up here every month saying, do not ignore RETA. And they've still made the decision to ignore the process. It is now one of the options or opportunities for RETA. Not only will they be giving you an administrative subpoena, but the next level is they will be just like child supports and be assessing gambling winnings, any returns that you may have coming to you. Now we will be able to assess our penalties or the taxes that they owe our city at that level. It is important that we recognize that this is our cash flow. And though we would really like for everyone to be happy, if we do not pay our taxes, there are consequences for those actions. So please, as we are on the internet and our social media spaces, please let's make sure we're giving them the right information. Anyone can go to www.ritaohio.org, or you can call me. I talk. Or you can send me an email at the email is tax@northcollegehill.org if there are any tax questions. But please, let's make sure that we are super, super informed in this space, as opposed to just getting on the bandwagon of people saying that they're being mistreated by our compliance officer. That's the hard stuff. The good stuff is I did just recently get our customized Welcome to the Neighborhood North College Hill We Are a Taxing Entity postcard. So we will be getting those actually printed out. I'll make sure that your committee has those for the welcome baskets. And I'm also going to take a group of them to our rental spaces, our known rental spaces, and ask the rental office, hey, when someone rents, would you please give them this postcard as a method of trying to get the word out? Because the reality is that the algorithm is what the algorithm is. And so if you're not someone searching the internet for tax information, we probably will never show up in your feed. And Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Cureton?
wow, thank you for going above and well beyond what we needed. In fact, you answered one of my questions during your TED Talk. So thank you for that. I just want to ask you one more space if we can utilize it.
Mhm.
Can we potentially, and maybe this is a question for the administration, but can we use the billboard at 1500? And I don't know how you would want to word that. I'm sure that you got that covered, or you have that covered, excuse me. But if you think that would be, because there's tons of traffic up and down Galbraith, but thank you for covering above and beyond what we needed. And if I can, because I know there's a new homeowner on my street, and then people I see, I talk to everyone all the time at Perkins on Saturdays or across the street. So if I can get a hand stack of those cars as well, if we overgive, then everybody's going to know, and cousins and aunties will have no excuses.
That's fair. We can make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent report. Okay, let's move on to call of members. Ms. Sorb?
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing this evening.
Ms. Gaston?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say, I hope everybody had a fun 4th of July and they were able to celebrate with their families and friends. And I am happy to be here. That is all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Gaston. Ms. Alexander?
I just wanted to add on to what Councilwoman Gaston was talking about as far as the back to school. There is an announcement on Facebook that the Cincinnati Alphas are having a back to school supply drive on August 8th at the high school from 3 to 5. Now, the caveat to that is you can be from any school. You don't have to be from North College Hill, and they are working to give supplies to every student. And also, if you're interested in being a partner or a sponsor, please direct message our athletic director, Ray Walton. And we would like to thank, so far, the current sponsors, the Cincinnati Alphas, Run by You Sports Performance. I believe they're located up in Mount Healthy in the Hillcrest Plaza. Also, North College Hill High School admin team, and the Nail Theory Salon, Skylar Walton, and the Athletic Boosters of North College Hill. So if you would like to be a sponsor, please contact Mr. Walton. And if you have a student, like I said, not necessarily a North College Hill student who's going to need those school supplies, come to the high school on August 8th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Ms. Cureton?
Thank you so much, and I will try my very best to be brief. Listen, I'm speaking from my heart here, and I think that I speak for a lot of our community members, business owners, and friends of North College Hill. The division, the silos of us not working together, it's quite embarrassing. I had a chance to have some really good conversations with a few members of our city, some leaders in our city who are not present in this room, and it shows. I am challenging our council. I am challenging our administration. I know we all have our agendas. I realize everyone wants to do what they want to do, but if we work together, we can go farther. I am so thankful for everyone. In fact, I'll share, in retrospect to what Mr. Dieter said, I was at the crime scene. Yes, I was, with Pastor Anthony Hudson. And at that conversation, he and I were meeting family friends, and we were meeting neighbors and getting to know people on that side of the community who I've never met before, some who voted for me, and I'm very, 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 very grateful for it. But what I'm hearing from our community is a bit embarrassing. So I am challenging all of us who represent the city as a public official, elected, appointed, whatever it is. If you hold a leadership role in this city, I'm challenging everyone to truly work together, because our audience is full of people, and they could be at home watching and doing and enjoying this beautiful summer evening. And so please, for the sake of the city of North College Hill moving forward, it is beyond time for us to come together. And let me also add this: we don't always have to agree. We can disagree when we leave the room. We can disagree tonight. But it's important that we move forward, rowing for the betterment of not just myself, of our children, of our community, the 50 years down the road. So the challenge is out there. It's up to you to accept it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Curitan. Ms. Clear?
Yes. Part of what I have to say, Mr. Dieters is aware of. I don't know if he's, but I'm going to start back on a previous statement that I made when we were talking about the tax compliance and ethics and all of that fun stuff. Started digging into ethics. In your packet, you will notice that there is a receipt of the Ohio Ethics Law Statement. I discovered that evidently we're all supposed to get that and sign it. City, not just the elected officials, but the employees as well. So in an effort to rectify that situation, this is in your packet today. Along those lines, as I was digging in there deeper, I realized I have a prohibited conflict of interest concerning one project that intersects with a nonprofit organization I'm involved with, as well as the city of North College Hill. So, and that project is the car show. So I am on the board of directors of the NCH Beautification and Activities Committee. That will be the fundraising arm, the private fundraising arm for the car show. City funding is also involved with car show. That is an intersecting project. Therefore, I have submitted to Mr. Dieters this evening a disclosure document that states the nature of that conflict of interest and a recusal from any future discussion on council floor or an official capacity for both council and the Beautification and Activities Committee. It is a two-way recusal. So I will ask my colleagues, please, if you're going to discuss car show, give me a heads up so that I can leave the room while you have that conversation, and I will come back and return to the conversation after you are through with that topic.
Thank you, Ms. Clear. Is that okay? All right. So, do we have any further remarks from the audience? Sir, if you don't mind stating your name and your address.
Sure. Russ Zeidema, 1504 Clover Knoll Drive. And my question is for Mary Jo Zorb. How much do we owe on the roof replacement for 1500 Galbraith?
Actually, Ms. Stevens is she still here? I can't see behind you.
Yes.
She might have a better answer than I would for that.
The bond that is connected to, but it's not.
Can you come up to the microphone? We can't hear you very well. Sorry.
Sorry. What my answer was is that we do not owe specifically for the roof. We have debt that was in the form of a bond that those dollars were rolled into. And I want to say we owe, because our total debt is about 2.4 million, but that includes our streets. If you give me about 7 minutes, I can look it up. It's in my phone, so let me look.
All right, that answers it. 7 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
That's funny.
Anyone else have a question? Okay. All right. We'll move on to legislation, but Ms. Stevens, once you have that answer, yes, ma'am, just kind of, wave your hand very high since I can't see you over the podium. Yes. Okay. Okay. Ms. Claire?
We have a second reading of Resolution 10-2026, a resolution to authorize the city administrator to execute a collective bargaining agreement between the City of North College Hill and the Fraternal Order of Police Ohio Labor Council Incorporated.
Madam President,
Ms. Dukestein.
may I ask if council, Never mind.
Can't.
We don't.
Can't.
Thank you.
And just for the audience, knowing what just happened, you were, just so, because being more clear, you were probably gonna ask if we can suspend second readings, but we don't have enough people in attendance tonight to suspend readings, so we are not able to do that.
Madam
So,
President.
To be clear. Ms. Gaston?
Can you tell the audience how many members of council are needed?
So we have 7 members of council. We would need 6 in order to suspend readings. We have 2 absences tonight, so that's what would make it impossible to be able to suspend readings on this tonight. So I'll have to go for, this one will have to go for another reading, just to kind of make sure you guys know what's going on. Ms. Clear?
Your timer's about to go off, I think.
Okay.
We have a first reading of Ordinance 5-2026, an ordinance authorizing the expenditure of up to $445,382.86 in American Rescue Plan Act funds for asbestos abatement, demolition, and related public works infrastructure improvements at 1500 West Galbraith Road. Next up, we have a first reading of Resolution 11-2026, a resolution expressing council support for the temporary adjustment of Public Works Department working hours during periods of extreme heat to ensure employee safety and declaring an emergency.
All right, the next part in our,
We have one more.
I'm sorry?
We have one more.
We do? I apologize, go ahead.
We have a first reading of Ordinance 6-2026, an ordinance to amend and establish salaries and staffing levels for city employees pursuant to the requirements of Section 3.06 of the City of North College Hill Charter.
Sorry about that, I was getting ahead of myself. Okay, now we really are going to the next part of the section, which would be executive session. Does anybody have the verbiage, because it is not on the agenda?
Madam President, I have the verbiage up.
All right, let's hear a motion first. Do you want to make the motion since you have the?
Well, first I have a question for Mr. Dieters.
Sure, go ahead.
Because some of these provisions are quite lengthy, and I believe that we can limit it to what we actually intend to talk about.
Yes.
Right. So, Madam President, for example, let's say you wanted to go in for item 1, which is employment. You could say the employment of a city employee, or you could say the compensation of a city employee. So you don't need to read that entire section. You just need to identify
which
section,
component of the section we intend to talk about. Okay.
Correct.
And then
But what you cannot say is we want to go in under G1 for personnel.
personnel, that's too vague.
That's too vague.
Okay, got
Correct.
it. All right.
But do realize we have 3 sections that we are going
Right,
over.
that's why I'm asking, is the motion, I'm trying to make this motion more concise, but I don't know which exact component of number 1 we would be talking about.
Madam President,
Ms. Curitin.
I would like to make a motion that we go into an executive session, and forgive me, Ms. Clear.
Sure.
Thank you. To discuss the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. That is the section of G1. I believe also, for the purpose of moving forward, I am going to read all of G2, and I will read all of G7. G6, thank you. To consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property at competitive bidding, or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in accordance with Section 505.10 of the Revisal Code. If premature disclosure of information would give an unfair, competitive, or bargaining advantage to a person whose personnel private interest is adverse to the general public interest. And G6. And it reads, details relative to the security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or public office, if disclosure of the matters discussed could reasonably be expected to jeopardize the security of the public body or public office. I think that covers it all.
Okay.
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb?
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
I'm not going to repeat it, though.
No. I have a motion from Ms. Curitan and a second from Ms. Zorb to go into executive session as stated very succinctly by Ms. Curitan. Roll call? Wait, discussion? Roll call?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I see a hand in the air. Can we pause?
Sure. I think that's our 7 minutes.
Madam President,
Yes.
thank you for your grace. We owe $223,208 on that bond. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens-Knott. That was very great. Okay, so to restate, we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan and a second from Ms. Zorb to go into executive session as stated. Discussion?
Madam President,
Ms. Curitan?
I understand that I am requesting G1 and Ms. Clear is requesting G6. I would like to know who requested G2. So who originally requested this executive session for tonight's meeting?
Madam Chair, administration.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other further discussion in regards to executive session?
Attendees?
All right. We have 3 different reasons we're going into executive session. Who will be going in?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
considering that administration requested the executive session, I am of the opinion that all of council, our law director, our city administrator, and our mayor would go into executive session.
All right. Roll call?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Move into executive session. Let's add to the minutes that Ms. Chichester did arrive. Ms. Chichester, did you take note of the time you walked in?
8:45.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 8:40, 8:45.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right. Okay, so anybody have old business? 'Cause
Madam
as
President.
stated, I do. Ms. Dukestein?
I have some old business,
Okay, go ahead.
but if you do, you can go first.
Oh, no, you go first.
So I sent an email out to all of council, and I respect the fact that you did not respond all, but I do want to inquire about where we were with it. So our state auditor has requested some documentation around your training. And at the beginning of the year, I think that there was a little bit of, I will say, lack of understanding as to why the goal was for administration to keep track of those documents. And so, for example, Ms. Gaston, she came on as an appointed council member. So she is required in that year to complete her documentation, and then she is required again in her new term to complete her documentation. And so, as a rule of thumb, it is just appropriate to get that stuff up front. So say, for instance, she went out tomorrow, got sick. We are still required to have that documentation, even though she had the whole term to complete it. So I think the state's ask is a bare minimum, but what we're trying to remedy is not having the appropriate documentation. I'm not trying to control or manhandle when you do or do not complete the documents, but after so long, Jillian has to hand those documents over to us. And then the city is responsible for those. I can tell you right now, I do not have documents for prior council members. There were 3 council members from our old set, before our old set, that had them. It was, and I won't name them, but there were only 3. And so that is a material thing on our audit. And so what I was trying to do was to help you all manage that. So if I get them on the onset really quickly, they're just in your files, we have them. And then whatever changes you make as you come and go, then you go and they're already established. But giving so much time, I know with my staff, I don't give them time. You got 30 days to complete these, and then they're on file. The bare minimum requirement to complete the fraud training is every other year. It's more difficult for us to keep track of the fraud training every other year than just to have them do it every year. So we do it every year. So I want to put that on your plates and to consider that I don't know how to keep track of your documents if Jillian keeps track of them and not at the same pace that I would. And then when I get them, I don't have what I need from who I need it from, because I am inheriting the records and at the pace at which you decided to do them. So I would ask that you guys give that some consideration and maybe come up with a way that we can work together to keep your documents, because I do not have past documents for the 24 audit. And those are things that are very material. And I, for one, I'm tired of having audits that come back with managers' letters attached. I want to see the city have good audits, and that's a part of that. That's all.
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
Ms. Dukestein, there are still outstanding
Yes,
ones
they
that
are.
you need? Okay, let me.
Madam President.
Yours is outstanding,
Madam President, I want to get in line behind Ms. Sorb if possible.
but I don't have them.
So Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
so I get an email from the auditor of the state of Ohio, and I'm trying to find it right now. I feel like there is here it is, I found it. There is a class tomorrow. Certified Public Records Training class tomorrow. I will forward this email to council so we can sign up at least for that one. It's tomorrow from 10 to 1:15, and it is a virtual meeting. But there are other meetings on the auditor's website, so you can find them out there. I believe Ms. Clear stated that she took hers recently. It was
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I was going to say, yeah, they have the virtual webinars or the in-seat, I think, in Columbus, but there's also self-paced online in 5 modules, and they're about 40-ish minutes each. That's how I did it. I just did it in my chunks, and then when I got it done, I provided the certification document to the clerk of council. Perhaps what we might consider is a courtesy copy to the other, just so it's in both places, and that way we've got it covered no matter what. So if you get something directly, courtesy copy. If we get something directly, courtesy copy. That way, at least it's in both places, and we know at least there's a backup copy somewhere. That's my suggestion.
Madam President.
Maybe as a stopgap in the meantime, I'm very interested in taking that records training,
now.
but tomorrow might be a little soon. I might be.
There's other
interested-
dates on here.
Yeah, I'd be interested in the down the road version of that. But maybe in the meantime, you could send the people that are out, Ms. Dukestein.
And
Madam President.
Maybe in the meantime, Ms. Dukestein, you could supply the people, maybe to our clerk, the people that are outstanding, and we can follow up internally to get that information.
Madam President.
Ms. Claire?
She might say the same thing. Okay. So some of those people who are outstanding are not currently on council, since it's from 2 to 3 years ago.
23 to 24.
Okay, yeah, 2 to 3 years ago. I already looked through the documents that I was sent, and I don't know whether or not the clerk didn't retain them, the administration didn't retain them. I don't know. I just know that I don't have those documents, nor would I know how to go about getting them, because to me, without having documentation of this person completed training, to me that means they did not complete the training.
Madam President.
And even if they were to
Madam
complete the
President.
training now, I don't think that would really matter. But I am working, and I have talked with Ms. Dukestein on creating a process that is going to help us, at least starting in 26, making sure that when we are audited for 26, we have all the records that we're supposed to have.
Thank you for that forethought of going forward. Ms. Dukestein, you were saying?
So again, yes, Jillian and I have worked together to do 25 and 26, which is what falls underneath our purview. So we have something that I hope is going to be successful going forward. The problem has been in the 23 and 24, which neither she nor I were here for. So there are 3 council members that are completely compliant. The rest of the whole body is not. And so what I am suggesting is that we work with Ms. Clear. Sorry for calling you Jillian. Ms. Clear, to get those documents together. But I again would like to just say to council that I think it is very difficult to manage every other year for like the fraud training, which you all are also required to do. It's nothing, that is the minimum requirement. We can do best practices. We don't actually have to do the minimum. So whatever
Madam
you guys
President.
come up with, remember that you all are responsible for your documents on the onset. That is the way that it is established. We are responsible for whatever you hand us. And so when we get that, if you guys are not up to date and you don't want us to help you keep up to date, then we're getting records or we're getting things that you have not kept appropriately. And that is why we're going to have a very material finding for 23 and 24.
So, Madam President, so I just wanted to make sure that I understand what Ms. Dukestein is saying. So going forward, we're going to ensure that administration and our clerk have our trainings. Okay. But the 3 council members that are out of compliance, that is not for this year, that is for 23, 24, correct?
Yes, but there are still people current on council who are in those years that may have their own documents. But I don't have their documents to hand over, and Jillian does not have their documents.
Ms. Clear.
Okay. Madam
Sorry.
President.
I'm sorry, Ms. Clear.
Ms. Curitan.
Thank you so much. So, Madam President, I am going to make a request, and let me know if this is an overstep.
Miss Clear, our clerk of council, is only responsible for those who currently serve. I don't believe it's her burden of proof to go back for 23 and 24. She was not on council as our clerk. I believe that will fall on the city's administration. You let me know if you agree with that, and I do believe that if Ms. Clear would like to work with the current council members, if there are any that are outstanding, and then we can dually work together to ensure. But I don't believe that our clerk should be responsible wholeheartedly to go back and find those files for the material findings that the auditor will have. Ms. Dukestein, I'm not sure why that's being put on her, but are you prepared to let them know those parties did not complete them? Because here in 2026 and going forward, Ms. Clear supports us.
Madam
True.
President.
Madam President, I'm prepared to let them know. I'm hopeful that we can retrieve some of the documentation from the members of council who are currently here and have completed them possibly. That is the clerk's responsibility, as denoted through the state auditor, that is the clerk's responsibility to manage both present and past. There's a year mark where they get handed over to administration. At that point, if it has not been transferred from the clerk, no matter if it's a new clerk or an old clerk, then that doesn't fall on administration. That falls on you guys, because you have the onus and responsibility to take the trainings and produce the documentation. And so, and it is always, even according to the charter, been something that the clerk has kept up. So that is why I was trying to assist at the beginning of the year, so that I can help take that responsibility off the clerk, because it is very difficult, and we have a whole HR person who is equipped to do it for you all.
Madam President, I have a quick question.
Hold on. Ms. Zorb?
So there's something in my mind that says we were building a onboarding package for council members.
Yes. It's on mothballs.
Yeah.
Because we have had other things. May I address her question?
I didn't know that was.
It was.
All right, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Just having a conversation. It's late. Sorry. You are correct. It is. There was an initial draft that Ms. Clear and Ms. Dukestein worked on together, kind of like an onboarding process and checklist. And we had, first of all, we had short meetings for the first 3 months of the year, and then we had a lot of higher priority stuff coming up. But I am willing to put that back on the agenda as an item of priority to address that, so that we can kind of stop the bleeding moving forward. But I did have another question specifically for Ms. Dukestein.
Okay, do your quick question, then I'm going to state something, and then we go ahead.
Okay, so I know that these records are, at least the one that I received was a digital certificate issued by whoever the issuing agency was. Is there no record that are these issuing agencies unable to tell whether or not the training was completed in order for us to even have that? Because if the training wasn't done at all, that's a different question than the training was done and we just don't have the paper.
We are not able to retrieve that training as a city. That council member is responsible for providing that. We did try to call to see if they would provide those documents, and we are not able to get those documents.
But they can't tell us if it's been completed at all?
The way that they would be able to give us the information that it's completed is to provide a certificate of completion. They are not able to give that as an individual thing. You have to call yourself.
Interesting.
Okay.
Madam President, sorry.
All right, one more. Ms. Gaston.
Have you been in contact with those council members who are missing these trainings?
No, that would be a Ms. Clear thing.
Okay.
Okay. Just to kind of wrap up this situation, just to restate and to get everything fresh in the mind, Ms. Dukestein, would you please provide Ms. Clear, our clerk, with the names of the current council members that have back training documents that you need for the auditors? And then Ms. Clear, if you wouldn't mind, you can CC me on it, reach out to those 3 council members to see if they can retrieve that document, because they should be, per what Ms. Dukestein said, they should be able to call themselves and get that information.
I can do it for if the members are currently on
That's what I'm
council.
saying. There's
Yeah.
she said there's 3 council members that have back training that are still council. So she'll provide you with those names. If you can reach out to those 3 council members that are currently sitting, just so we can get good with the auditors. Is that agreeable to everyone?
So I'm sorry, there were 3 council members that were identified by the state that have their records in place.
Oh, how many are needed that
All
you,
the rest, so I guess that does leave 3 more. But it's not this current body.
oh, well, that
there
was,
is-
you missed,
Turnover
you
on
were-
council.
The
Right.
reason,
President.
but
You-
there, so
Yeah.
it's not the
Madam
current
President.
body. So what we were doing was handling a scenario going forward, and to try to help you to see what happened in the past. So I will say this: if you were in 23 and 24 and you were on council, I don't have your records.
I know I
Your
sent
records
mine
have
to
not been
somebody.
presented.
Madam President,
Ms. Cureton.
Ohio Revised Code 121.22 governs open meetings but does not assign the clerk of council responsible for ensuring elected officials complete Sunshine Law training. I think we just want to follow. Mr. Dieters, you can confirm or deny, but I think we're putting a whole lot of pressure, and Ms. Clear, you may want that pressure, but I think we're putting a whole lot of pressure on her to chase down records that may not exist. I still stand firm that Ms. Clear, January 1, 2026, became our clerk, and if it's a current member, we need to stick by that. Otherwise, I think we should follow the ORC that says that the clerk of council is not responsible for ensuring elected officials complete required trainings.
Madam President,
Ms. Dukestein.
I was not saying that Ms. Clear was responsible for making sure current council members completed trainings. I actually tried to take that on as an administrative task at the beginning of the year. What I am saying is it is Ms. Clear's responsibility to keep documentation that you created, that you completed the trainings. And so once you all have completed your trainings, it is your responsibility to hand it over to the clerk because she keeps your documentation. She does not have your documentation, nor was she here during the time when the previous group did not hand it over to her. It should have been transferred her from our previous clerk. And she's saying that she does not have that documentation. So she has to go back to, because there is a year that the auditor requires that Ms. Clear turn that documentation over to the state. And when I say year, it has to be so many years past those current council members and their term. I'm not sure what the ORC says about that, and I'm not sure what our charter says about that, but I can tell you what the state auditor told us.
Okay, so as I stated before, so the auditor flagged that we have council members from 23 and 24 that did not turn in their documentation on training. Some of those people no longer are on council. That is beyond our purview. But some of the council members still are on council that may not have their training. What I was asking is for those people that are still on council that from 23 and 24 has been flagged by the auditor as needing their training documents on file, if you could reach out to the clerk so that we can get this resolved. That's all I'm asking.
Jillian,
Ms. Clear, is that good with you?
Yeah, I can reach out to the members who are currently on council, or if they just want to send me
Oh, yeah.
all of the training records they have, and we can
But
do it
at
that way.
least-
This is so complicated.
We are way overcomplicating this issue.
Anyway, moving on. So, all right, has that been resolved to what you need?
yes,
Ms.
thank
Dukestein?
you.
Okay, cool. All right, any other old business before I have my old business?
Madam President.
Ms. Gaston?
I did have a question for our city administrator.
Sure.
And that is, I know during my committee meeting, we talked about the location for the outdoor fitness center, and you were waiting for written confirmation that both the city and the school were in agreement. Did we get that yet?
No, I have not gotten that yet.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President.
Hold on one second, Ms. Orb?
I'd like to add the council rules stuff that we worked on. Can I
Okay, we can do
make
that.
those motions now?
Yes, and we also need to have the minutes voted on too.
Madam President, with all due respect, I just got these handed to me as I was sitting down for this meeting, and I haven't had even a chance to look at them
But
to see,
Ms.
does it reflect?
The minutes
what we-
or the motions?
Well, I'm not sure, well, the minutes,
Ms. Clear, you were at the meeting.
no,
and
I
you had
understand,
a
but the
month.
minutes need to reflect what we discussed, and I don't know if this isn't, if it's an accurate record of what we discussed. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not just gonna approve minutes because somebody wrote them. I look through and I make sure that they're,
I wasn't working on the minutes. I was just going to work on the motions to change council rules that we discussed.
I haven't had a chance to look at these either.
Okay.
But you were part of the meeting.
I know,
where
but I
we
haven't,
discussed
this
it.
is the written documentation of what we discussed, and I haven't
All right, we can do it
looked
next
at it.
meeting. I rescind my almost motion.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna respectfully request that we table this for now, because I need
I just
to
wanna
do
move
my
on,
due
so I don't
diligence
care.
and read through
How's
what
that?
we're about to add to rules.
Ms. Curitan?
Thank you so much, Madam President. Ms. Dukestein, can you confirm if you have began to, let me actually give you the backstory. We met with Chief Cheney here along with a person who is with the Tri-State Peer Support Group. And I believe that our police department was looking for additional support with mental health services. I do believe that there was discussion for 2027 of adding it into the budget, but I believe there was also discussion of getting it rolling in 2026 per their recommendation. Have you began to look at the cost estimates to allow our first responders to have the additional tri-state support and the insurance coverage?
No, because we talked about utilizing the insurance rollout that we have currently to service their needs.
Was it, Madam President, I believe that the conversation consisted of there being additional support, which is why they came to our council meeting and asked us to appropriate accordingly. We could not appropriate until we had cost estimates from you. Has that changed?
We were able to get additional support through our current.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We were able to get additional support through our current provider.
Can you provide us an idea? Because again, they came to council and asked council to make something happen. And so we want to be able to respectfully respond and say, we believe these resources are now in place for you. And if that's not suitable for you, then please let us know how we can best support.
So you're saying, your question was, can you give us an idea of what?
Not an idea. Can you tell us what you exactly did based on their request?
We expanded their resources through our current provider. We will not be going with the provider that they brought forward.
Okay. And just to confirm, is that what they would like? Are they satisfied with that?
Their services that were here, that they presented to us, their new services will model very closely to that.
Great, thank you.
Madam President.
Ms. Sorb?
So kind of a continuation of that question. Madam Mayor, I have on the finance committee in the parking lot, we have that mental health that was sitting there waiting for a response from you. So I'm assuming that can be
Yes.
removed from
You
the
can
parking
remove
lot of
it
the finance.
from there. I believe the program is PEEP.
Okay. So the issue has been resolved and the police have what they need.
Yeah, and I did have a brief conversation with Miss Sheba Knotts Stevens. I'm sorry, Miss Steven Knotts. I just butchered your name. And we talked about it a little bit, and it's better for us to go with what they already have currently.
Okay.
And if they discuss adding on to it, then that's where we'll stay.
Perfect. I just wanted to confirm with you that I can remove that from the agenda.
The parking lot, yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other old business? Any new business?
Madam President.
Ms. Gaston?
I do have new business. It was discussed earlier today. I just wanted to confirm with our city administrator that our public works guys are working during hours that ensure their health and safety, and that you spoke earlier. I just want to make sure that our guys are not out there in 107 heat.
Yes, they are. They modify their schedules in the summer. And if it's so excruciatingly hot, there are other tasks that they can do. Like they can do the street sweeper. It's being repaired right now, but there are other tasks that they can do. They do things like mowing early morning, watering things that they have to be outside for, that they're exerting their physical bodies, that they will be hot and uncomfortable, and we want to make sure that they're safe. It's part of our workers' comp. We want to make sure that they're safe. So they have a modified schedule in the summer. And
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Earlier today, it was really confusing because, of course, we do support our public works. And like I stated earlier, I didn't believe that we needed a resolution for that. But as Ms. Clear identified, it was just expressing an opinion. So I am expressing my opinion that I support that. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Curitin?
thank you so much. Ms. Dukestein, I believe that we have hired a new Public Works Director. I don't believe there's been any formal introductions. Can you provide us with their name?
yes, his name is Michael Tasialo, and he's planning to attend the next public safety meeting.
Can you spell the last name, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tassiello.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any other new business? Any motions?
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb?
it is 10:09. I would like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester?
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Ms. Zorb and a second from Ms. Chichester to adjourn. Roll call?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitin,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
No gavel?
You gotta hit the gavel.
No gavel?
Meeting adjourned.